Hello everyone, this is Varsha and you are watching the series of success stories brought to you by Indian Achievers Forum. So once again, we are here with you all to discuss the success story of one more achiever of ours, and this time we have with us Dr. Anish Desai, MD, who is the founder and CEO of IntelliMed Healthcare Solution. But before proceeding, let us know a bit about IntelliMed Healthcare Solutions and of course about the man behind the success of this company as well. So, the cornerstone of intelligent healthcare solution conception was the creation of scientific support for superior patient outcomes. Intelligent Healthcare Solution has an experienced leadership with healthcare industry experience and talented team with highest qualification in healthcare domain. Intelligent offers solutions in a volatile healthcare ecosystem. The healthcare industry is poised with a paradigm change in the pharmaceuticals, medical devices, nutraceuticals, and digital healthcare sectors. The healthcare stakeholders comprise of four P's, that is, the physicians, patients, providers, and policymakers. It is important to look out for the solution to drive the healthcare ecosystem by improving awareness, adoption of healthcare system and newer technologies, accessibility to healthcare and affordability. The 4 A's. This can be achieved by the 4 Ds called data, differentiation of services, dissemination of information and knowledge, and diligence in achieving these goals. Now, talking about Dr. Anish Desai, MD, he has established himself as a KOL in nutraceuticals industry as a nutraceutical physician. He has worked in shaping the environment from an evidence-based perspective. Advocacy of clinical evidence and data for differentiation of products has been his endeavor, and he has achieved the same by several publications and conduct of clinical trials. He has been responsible for the scientific basis of products evaluation and launch of several therapeutic areas like immunity, joint health, probiotics, metabolic disease to name a few. Dr. Anish Desai is working closely with the physician to shape the role of the nutraceuticals in healthcare and wellness. The product range he is working on is from preventive medicine to therapeutic role of nutraceuticals. His 360-degree knowledge of healthcare industry gives him an unique advantage of understanding the healthcare ecosystem and the stakeholders driving the scene. He has more than 200 publications and abstracts from the scientific journals. But before we actually start the conversation with him, let's quickly have a look at a very small video telling you about what we actually do.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, hi Varsha. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
Pleasure is ours, sir. So, before we actually start the conversation, I'm very keen to know that how did you actually land up to the idea of starting up with this business of yours?
So, again, if you'll see my profile, I have been with the pharmaceutical, medical device, and nutraceutical industry for nearly last 25 years. I have been with academia, industry, and research. And what I realized is that during these 25 years of my career, that there was a kind of gap which was existing in terms of scientific support that is required for healthcare companies. And most of the companies that are currently there are more of brand and marketing companies. And the scientific support given by the medical and experienced pharmaceutical professionals was not there. And that's where I thought that it would be great for me to actually access this or help in this meeting this gap which was there for the healthcare industry. And that's where I decided that I need to start something which would help me to collaborate with the stakeholders, especially the pharmaceutical, medical device, and nutraceutical industries, to help them to support the patients, doctors, and achieve superior patient outcomes.
Amazing, sir. So, thinking of an idea and its execution are actually two very different things. So, what sort of challenges you have to face in your professional role and also while starting up with this setup of yours?
I think when you are starting up a new business, and especially in a startup scenario, there are several challenges. There are challenges related to the people, there are challenges related to the finances which are there. There are challenges dealing with your clients, customers, or collaborators. And one of the biggest challenge that we faced when I started, because I started somewhere in middle of 2019, and as I was trying to get my feet or my foothold, COVID struck, and then the entire paradigm shifted in terms of people, the work they were doing, the kind of way we did the work from home. So several of those challenges in trying to understand the new normal, uh, people were not willing to meet you, which was not possible. How do you really connect with them? How to use the digital media? How to use different medias? How to really use your time effectively in terms of catching up with people? How do you really try to make yourself in a way useful, if I would use that word, to the your people whom you are trying to connect with, and how do they see your need in the current or in those times digital world to be helpful. So several challenges in these areas. Getting people on board for a startup is always a challenge, and therefore then to get and recruit a talent pool was also a challenge. But I was fortunate enough to get really very good young talent which was there. Financing again becomes, and then how do you really move and grow through internal accruals? How do you really face that challenge of having your salaries being paid, your other things which are there? So money is required, and how do you really get the work which would really fund all your things? These are few basic things which were there. Means again, nothing very rocket science about it, but very very basic challenges that I had to face. And on top of it, there was this COVID challenge.
Right, sir. So now moving ahead, if you can please brief us about the services that IntelliMed Healthcare Solution is providing to people out there, please.
So, IntelliMed Healthcare Solutions, as I said, was formed to address a huge gap which was there in the healthcare industry, which is basically the pharmaceutical industry, the medical device industry, and the nutraceutical industry. So, within these organizations, the large MNC as well as the Indian organizations, there is a group which is called as medical services. And what they do, what does medical services or the medical affairs group do, is provide scientific support all through the life cycle management of the product, right from identifying the need gap which is there in a therapy area, identifying new products, supporting the regulatory approval, because this is a regulated industry, so there are regulations which are there. So how do you really address the regulatory gaps which are there? How do you support the regulatory? How do you help in what to say, launching the product which is there to the patients, to the doctors, through science, through evidence? So I have actually a kind of a model which we developed for providing these services, which I call as a PAD model. So there are what to say major stakeholders which are there in this healthcare ecosystem, which is basically the patients. Patients are the center, because all of us, what we do is for the patients. The second P is basically the physicians, because physicians need that support in managing their patients. Then you have providers. When I talk about providers, providers are hospitals, diagnostic labs, and different other groups of people are there. And then the fourth and the major P is your players, or rather not players, but the policymakers and the payers. Policymakers is usually the government, and today why I have clubbed them together is government through Ayushman Bharat has also become a payer, and that's the reason you have to address to all these four stakeholders, which is your physicians, patients, providers, policymakers, and your payers. For them, you have the healthcare drivers. Now, what are these drivers? These are drivers of awareness. You need to make awareness to all these stakeholders. Adoption, a new technology, a new product which is there needs to be adopted by these stakeholders. The third part of it is accessibility. You need to have those products accessible. And the fourth is affordability. These are four major drivers, or the four A's as I call. And how do you address those drivers is basically through four D's, as I say. So what are those four D's? The first D is data. You require data. You require scientific data. You require medical data. You require clinical data. The second D is differentiation. You need to differentiate your product from a medical perspective. The third D is dissemination. You need to disseminate the information, scientific information, to all the stakeholders. And the fourth P is the diligence part of it. You need to do it very diligently. You need to do it very, very professionally, so that there are no gaps in this and execution. So based on this model, the services that we offer is that we help companies in their scientific support. We help them with new product identifications. We help them with generating evidence for the new products. We help them in creating awareness with physicians through CMEs, through publications. We help them in writing papers, generating consensus documents, generating guidelines which are there, training programs of their internal and external people which is there. So that's the kind we help them in differentiating their products through different ways and means which are there. That's where all our services come in. So we run something which is a very specific and a signature model of ours called as contract medical affairs. So we say that if you require these medical services, you don't have to build an internal group. You outsource your services to us, and that's where we'll help you in your scientific needs. So these are the kind of gamut of services that we offer to our partners.
Right, sir. So now talking about the future, what further plans are you having for the company in the upcoming years? If you can please share a bit of those plans with us as well.
So we want to expand our services within India. We want to work with more stakeholders, more partners. At the same time, we also want to increase our geographic footprints. We want to increase our geographic footprints and expand to, say, Singapore, which is the Asia Pacific hub. We want to expand our footprint to Middle East and North Africa through having our presence in Dubai. In Europe, we would like to have our footprint there, and then, of course, at some point of time in US also. So we want to expand our operations to different geographies so that we can work with different groups of companies and help them to serve their patients better.
All right, sir. So now moving ahead and talking about this pandemic situation, a lot has happened in the past 2, 3 years, and still that is continuing with us. We have not completely, like, fully overcome the same. So, what do you have to say on this Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, an initiative by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, and how is your company working towards this?
So I think this is one of the best initiatives that has been taken by the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Ji Modi. In fact, there are several areas where the Indian healthcare industry has been at the forefront, whether it is the pharmaceuticals and now it is extending to the devices or to the nutraceuticals. We have great data here, we have got great talent here, and if we are able to harness that, it's going to really help in terms of all these areas. And where we are is I think this is actually a follow up to the earlier questions that you asked, that we are going to be an Indian company which is going to offer services internationally, multinationally. So a lot of companies would come to us from different geographies, and that's where we not only cater to the Indian market, but we also cater to the international market. So we will do work through India, helping these companies in terms of achieving superior patient outcomes. We will help them, help the physicians all across the globe, how they can treat their patients in a better manner, how they can have information available at their beck and call in a very efficient manner. So these are the ways and means where we will be an Indian company catering not only to the Indian needs but to the global needs. So we would be self-sufficient from an Indian perspective, but also offering services to the international scenario.
Lovely, sir. So now comes the question which I personally, love to ask our awardees, and that is, what are your feelings on winning this Indian Achievers Award? As in, how did you actually celebrated the news when you got the information about your winning?
So, to be very honest with you, awards are a milestone for me. It's actually, in fact, reinforces the fact that you're doing good work. And I think the team was very highly charged up because they saw that their work, which they have been doing a good work for the last 3 years, has been rewarded. And that's where they were highly charged up. They were enthusiastic and they were very happy about it. Again, as I said, these are all milestones, and they will keep on coming as long as you do good work. I always believe that these things are part and parcel of the game, and that's where you need to take it in your strides.
Right, sir. And I once again congratulate the entire team on this achievement of yours.
Yes, absolutely, Varsha, because this is an achievement of the team, the young, talented team of IntelliMed Healthcare Solutions. They have worked tirelessly through these pandemic times. They have worked all odd hours, and they have worked very hard to work with our partners and deliver what the partners were expecting.
Right, sir. So now, want to know from you that apart from this medical services that you're providing to people out there, are there any other CSR activities too that you're associated to?
So one of the CSR activities that we do is that we do a lot of patient awareness. So we help the patients to know and have get very scientific knowledge about their diseases, about the products they are taking. So in fact, we write a lot of articles in lay press where the patients or the consumers can get educated about the products they are taking. So I write a weekly column in the Daily Guardian wherein we are talking about food is medicine. So that's where we are doing a lot of educational activities with these kind of through these forums, and that's where I think a well educated consumer or a patient is very important for them to have a healthy lifestyle themselves and a healthy society.
Right, sir. So now, last but surely not the least, what message or mantra you would like to give to our younger generation who wants to become a successful entrepreneur someday?
I think you need to have the message that I always give is that you need to have conviction in yourself. You need to believe in yourself. And the most important thing is that you need to have the right attitude. You need to be working towards it. Failures again are part and parcel of it, so you need to take them in your stride. Success again, as I said, is also a part and parcel of your journey, so you need to take it and deal with success also very maturedly, because it's not only important to deal with failures, it's also important how you deal with successes. So these are the things which are important, and you constantly need to upgrade yourself. You need to keep yourself knowledgeable about the latest things happening, and that's where I think I always believe that the attitude matters in all these areas. So try to do good work, and success will follow.
Very, very correctly said, sir. So, thank you so very much for joining with us today. It was lovely talking to you, and I wish you all the success for all your future endeavors. And may you continue to inspire us the way you are doing. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you, Varsha. Thanks. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you, sir. Same here.